Carolina has in fact received its first case of coronavirus COVID-19.
In 2020, the world endured a public health crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic. By summer, civil unrest had the country asking hard questions and searching for answers. As the coronavirus outbreak continued, people lost their jobs, their homes, and beloved businesses. Arts and nonprofits were also challenged by the realities of COVID-19 during a time where there is a greater need for human connection, dialogue, and unity than ever before. But through hardship, they persevered, spreading messages of inclusivity, equity, and accessibility, showing resilience, adaptiveness, and innovation in the face of isolation, restrictions, and social distancing. And now we're thanking them for showing the region how art unites us.
Arts 2020, excellence in a crisis.
2020 was a difficult year for so many, but Arts United is making it a point to uplift others in our community.
Yeah, that's right, Jack. The awards are a tradition, but like everything else, it's had to adapt, and past categories have been thrown out the window.
See, those honored have brightened up the community in a number of ways in the midst of strife and sickness.
Yeah, and each winner has shared with us their journey to lifting up others.
On the city's southeast side, Francisco Reyes launched the Open Wall Project in the fall of 2020. His vision is dual purpose, to make graffiti and mural art inclusive to all, and to bring color and people to the community he loves so much.
Some of the murals downtown have prerequisites where you have to have had a 250 square foot mural or larger already made. So if you don't have an opportunity, if you don't have 250 square feet that you can paint on whenever you want, how do you develop those skills? How do you acquire the opportunity? So we have this. And some of the events that I'm working on for the spring through summer, I want to bring in artists to help teach people how to do proportion, how to do scale. There's teachers here that teach that. I would love for this to be an outdoor classroom.
Being able to give a voice to everybody, no matter your background, no matter who you are, what you've done, I feel like that's really important for you. And tell me a little bit about making it an equal playing field for everybody to express themselves freely.
Yeah, so coming up through the culture of art that I came up with, everybody's allowed, right? The only thing, you're going to get critiqued. That happens everywhere, and we are harsh.
Yep.
But at the same time, we also feel like the only way you're going to get better is if you get out there.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, so it's like if you're not out there painting, if you're not out there doing what you're doing, perfecting your craft, and you're only saying oh, I don't have the chance, or I can't get better if I don't have this. This is that opportunity. This is the chance to give you everything you need for you to go out and get better. And some people, maybe they don't want to become muralists. They just want a place to paint. So you have guys who are older that don't want to go out and paint at weird hours. You can come here on a Sunday afternoon and paint. So that helps anybody who ever wanted to paint can come here and paint. We don't care how good you are, how bad you are. We don't care. Just come paint the wall.
Right.
That's all we want is
cool.
We're in an area that's needed color. It has everything. The southeast side, in my opinion, has everything that you want in a city, and it's all in one little corner of the city. But we're the least color. We have the least amount of art, the least amount of all of these things. But the people are here and they want it.
Well said.
I've lived here 20 years. I've had people tell me oh, how do you live in that neighborhood? Isn't it dangerous? I'm I've never had a problem here. Mm-hmm. It's never been dangerous in my opinion, not to me. So I'm how do I get people to come here and experience the same neighborhood that I experience every day?
Just a few blocks away, 4 murals decorate the renovated basketball courts at McMillan Park. Turnstone harnessed a grant from the NBA to make the space inclusive of those who play basketball using wheelchairs. They partnered with artist Andre Porte, who used the non-traditional canvas to promote Southside pride.
When we applied, our mission was to resurface these courts so they could have wheelchair basketball tournaments through Turnstone out here. So the T court is the court that they would play on most of the time if they have tournaments out here, if they have a single game going on. But that's what the revitalization was for. That's why we did the blacktop, because the gravel was so loose you would never be able to roll on it. So we hope that it'll last long enough to be able to make that dream for others become true. the colors represent Black Pride. It's the Pan-African flag. So I thought that would be special for this area to bring some sort of unification and pride back to the neighborhood.
What does this project mean to the Black community and the young African American kids that play on this court?
I hope it means a lot to them. I just know ever since I was a kid, you know, growing up in neighborhoods like this, your dreams to become a professional athlete or a musician. And it doesn't really stray far away from that most of the time. We love art, we love playing basketball, and just combining those two I feel like is very special for Fort Wayne.
What's your goal with this? What do you hope to accomplish?
My main goal is to revitalize most of the basketball courts on the south side to better our communities, because I see a lot of art happening in other places in town, and they don't really come out this direction, you know. So I'm trying to be the start of change for that, or, you know, not the start, I guess, but just trying to help out and be the start of that, because.
So you feel that the southeast side has been neglected for too long?
Way too long. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is beautification of the southeast side here at McMillan Park, right?
Yeah. I think it's special too because the NBA helped us do this. They gave us a grant to do this mural. So just that for the neighborhood. We're supposed to have logos at each basketball hoop, but it got too cold too fast, so we weren't able to do them, so we'll do them this spring. But I think once they see the NBA logo out here, it'll mean even more, just because everybody in this community respects the NBA most of the time, and you know, they have players they look up to, teams they look up to. Yeah. So just to be able to come out here and escape your home or your everyday situation that you might not want to be in all the time, it's just nice to have somewhere you can go to be safe.
In September, the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership launched the Make It Your Own Mural Fest, which commissioned local, national, and international artists to highlight that something special in each community.
Why focus on a mural fest during a pandemic? Number one, we started at a time when the pandemic didn't exist. We have a compelling reason. We as a region need to be growing faster to supply the needs of future employers. At the end of the day, this is an economic development activity. It's devoted to murals, but what we're trying to do is feed the growth of our region for the need of filling the future workforce.
Because of the pandemic, you had to pivot. How did things change dramatically?
There was a lot of, the team described it as dodging obstacles as they came up during the pandemic. You know, in the early days, we thought I was wearing masks for a little while and things were going to get better. We really underestimated the impact. But on the other hand, it became more compelling for these communities. If you can imagine, it gave them a reason to come together in safe ways around celebrating their community. And so here we were in the pandemic, months into the pandemic, September, it's been March to September that this all unfolded. And all of a sudden we gave them a reason to be together, to enjoy each other's companies, to see something beautiful that wasn't there before. It's a part of their community, will be there for decades. So in pivoting, we also were responding to a need that the pandemic really highlighted for us in these communities.
So what you're saying is Mural Fest did and will attract people to Northeast Indiana?
Yes, we're adding another asset, and we added an asset that's going to live for decades in these communities, and it was kind of neat to see them emerge in places that they will attract attention. They're places where people will be, and they will see these things. And some will, well, I don't like that mural, and some people, I love that mural, right? It becomes a matter of diverse opinion.
It becomes a talker, right? Right. People are talking in the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the Mural Fest team, Rachel Driscoll. But behind the scenes, her advocacy and creativity are intertwined with hours of volunteering for Fort Wayne's Art This Way.
And we were brainstorming on how to create internal pride of place with the new Make It Your Own brand. And so we kind of pitched it, and I pitched this idea, what if there was a mural in every county? And lo and behold, it came to fruition.
I'm curious, and Rachel, for you personally, obviously art is a huge part of your life pre-pandemic, during the pandemic. What motivates you to spend so much time volunteering and being so involved with Art This Way, which is so reliant on volunteers?
Yeah, so when I moved to from Portland, Oregon to Fort Wayne. I followed along with my husband. So I kind of was like, well, if we're moving back here, I definitely want to be involved and active in the community and be the one that kind of creates that pride of place.
You keep saying pride of place, which I love. So tell me a little bit about, seeing all 7 of these here, about a little bit about the pride of place right here in downtown Fort Wayne.
Exactly. So these are all more emerging artists that maybe it's their first or potentially second mural. But they are all regional. They're all diverse in story and theme and style, and just showcasing the talent of the city.
What would you say as a message to anybody about Art This Way as a whole and the importance it's playing right now?
Well, I think that public art is something that is so important for a city because it's accessible to all and for all to just come out and enjoy. And I think it really truly does create this this pride in you can kind of come and just enjoy. And Promenade Park is another extension of public art in the architecture of that. And just the region is growing, and it's becoming a really lovely place to be and enjoy.
In 2020, the Fort Wayne Museum of Art's annual Chalk Walk celebrated 2 decades of tradition, but the trademark event too had to evolve to keep what would normally draw thousands downtown safe from the coronavirus outbreak.
The reality of the pandemic situation, we couldn't gather downtown in person. What better way to make the Chalk Walk a reality other than by bringing it to you at home? So you could do it on your time schedule during a whole period of a week and upload your image, compete in whatever category you wanted. You could start over if you wanted. You could pick the weather day, all those kinds of things. We were really, really pleased with how it turned out.
Yeah. What inspired you about what you saw this year?
Oh my gosh, there's the artwork and the artists are incredible. There is so much talent in Fort Wayne, and people really embrace the categories. There was quite a few efforts about the pandemic. There was a really cool nurse image, like nurse angel kind of image.
Oh my gosh, so like a great tribute to our healthcare workers.
Yes, thank you. You said it so much better than I
No,
did.
that's great. No, I totally understood what you meant. Yeah.
It was perfect. And then a lot of artists recreated works from our collection, which is always so cool to see how people utilize the colors and the textures of the ground that they're using to create their image. People just really blew it out of the water.
And I have to be honest with you, the pandemic has ruined a lot of events. Mm-hmm. But for the Chalk Walk, I really feel like it turned into a major positive.
It did. You're absolutely right. I don't think we could have done it any better. I mean, not to give us all the kudos, Arts United Ferguson was part of it as well, but we did our very best to pivot like that we could to make it all a reality and keep the tradition alive.
We're going to take a brief break, but when we come back, why one Fort Wayne Civic Theater director chose to cast the Founding Fathers in 1776 as women.
And the honoree of the Mayor's Art Award. Hear how one organization unified downtown Fort Wayne from this past summer after protests left a path of destruction to several businesses.
Acting in masks and keeping an audience socially distant were the easier tasks of the Fort Wayne Civic Theater's summer play, 1776. The biggest challenge, using an all-female cast to play the Founding Fathers and to make it convincing.
The thing that I was concerned about was, am I going to get the right strength in an actress to play these very strong characters? Because they were very
strong male roles.
They were written for men, yes, and they're real people. You had to get fine actresses who were able to know the difference between a caricature and a character, because we didn't want people pretending to be men. We wanted them to embody these characters.
And you did have to wear masks,
we did,
right? Because
yes.
I always think about the importance of projection when it comes to theater. So that was really tested as well.
It was, but in a way, this cast was uniquely qualified because we had a lot of dancers. We had a lot of people who had dance background, so they were used to using their entire body to tell the story. So that was kind of a great, happy accident that we had. And that's one of the hardest things is to learn how to use your vocal qualities and not your face. You know, it's something that we do in acting class. You know, you get to challenge yourself that way, but it's hard when all of a sudden it's like, and this is how you have to do this 2.5-hour show. That is so language is so important in the show. And it's hard when you are losing one of your main instruments as an actor to tell that story.
Do you think, you know, in the future that this production will continue to break barriers, meaning, you know, roles that are traditionally for men will now be played by women and vice versa?
Yeah, I do. And there are a lot of different shows that you can cast gender blind. You can do that. And in fact, 1776 was actually getting ready to go open on Broadway in an all-female production. Several universities had already done it because of the centennial for the women's right to vote. But absolutely. I think that any director, if you're talking, if your show has nothing to do with gender or race or anything, there's nothing stopping you from casting anybody, because it really does bring a different angle to the show that you're doing.
What is your initial reaction to hearing that you were being honored by Arts United for the year 2020, and what a year it has been?
Exactly. Very honored and very pleased to have the work of everybody that was involved with this production recognized, because it is a team effort, and during a pandemic and for a special cause to celebrate the 19th Amendment and the work of the suffragettes all the years.
What qualities from Leslie and what traits of the play as a whole stick out to you the most that leave the largest impact on you moving forward?
Well, I think the original production, 1776, and what our founding fathers went through and what we're experiencing now, and the voting process, and it's even more connective to what we're experiencing today, and it's just the timing was right, and especially the pre-election with the women's right to vote, and their women's vote today was a major part of the election, so it was timely in that fashion.
In Wabash, the Honeywell Foundation reopened the 1324 Drive-In at the end of May and began showing music performances in addition to movies. They also turned education and outreach resources housed in the newly renovated Eagles Theater virtual.
You guys are ready to open. You've got shows lined up. The pandemic hits. How do you pivot?
Yeah, so in this particular facility, because the theater is on this floor, there are other studios. We were able to use our studios, both video and audio studios, to go virtual. So we took our summer theater program virtual, our summer art program virtual.
Wow, that's amazing. And did the kids love that? I mean, did people really respond to the virtual camps?
We did. We had a few less participants than normal, but most of the students stayed in the program. For the art camp, people picked up their art supplies and then participated via Zoom. For the theater camp, actually on this stage, the students, participants would come and perform one at a time, and then we edited all of that performance together into a final video.
So tell me how you utilized the drive-in theater.
Yes, so the drive-in was a real asset to us this summer. It's been fun every summer to operate a drive-in theater, but this year was especially important with the pandemic. So we added additional movie showings, and we moved, we do a local music series every June here. We moved that out to the drive-in so people could be socially distanced. We added some touring entertainment. The first big live concert we did was for King and Country on July 4th. We had 2 sold-out shows, and it was really nice to be able to just see people in that live music environment again.
How did the community respond?
Yeah, the response has really been great. We've had people from throughout the region come not only to movies, but to those live concerts. It's really exciting to see people be able to get back out and interact.
David Meyer is a passionate advocate and supporter of arts, culture, and education in Fort Wayne through his role as trustee of the Edward D. and I Own Our Foundation. In 2020, the Our Foundation provided the lead gift to Arts United's Arts and Culture Nonprofit Resilience Fund.
How does it feel to receive this achievement for all that you have done to give back?
I mean, it's a great feeling. I obviously, don't believe that I deserve it, but it's very nice of Dan and Sue to do this. So,
what is the goal of the Our Foundation first, for people that may not know, and then how have you achieved that and reached that?
Well, Mrs. Our was very much a fan of the arts, and so we're trying to stay with the arts to as much as we possibly can. And we had 4 primary beneficiaries that we selected, and we have given them each $10 million.
That is unbelievable. And that impact is being felt today and has been felt for years. The Our Foundation, correct me if I'm wrong, coming to a close soon, that is going to leave a legacy for so many years. How does that feel from your perspective?
Well, I think it's been a home run, and I feel very good about that. I think Mrs. Our would have been proud.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and it will never be forgotten.
I think the one thing that we're doing now, we're giving Arts United $1 million, and we had kind of we told them that we would do it for their big program that was coming up. We'd give them $1 million, and we moved it back down to the 2020 because of all the arts organizations struggling in Fort Wayne.
In response to the death of George Floyd during the Black Lives Matter protest of 2020, dozens of artists began painting the plywood coverings of broken windows of damaged buildings and businesses in downtown Fort Wayne. The project, led by Art This Way, is recognized by Mayor Tom Henry, who chose them as the recipient of the 2020 Mayor's Arts Award.
To bring the community together and also give the artists of this community an opportunity to share their voice and maybe even help us heal and create conversation to build change. We allowed artists to come in to paint on all the plywood that had gone up, either as a preventative measure or to cover up a broken window. And it was really Art This Way's role was making it legal and contacting all the property owners and allowing for these artists to be heard.
So important, and you keep saying artists and community.
Yes,
This is a group effort.
Yes, for sure. So we had a lot of different groups come in. This was something where really overnight we saw artists step up and say, I actually do have something to say, and I'm interested in participating, or I support this cause. The beautiful work by Theophilus was one of the larger pieces that came as a result of this protest work.
So tell me a little bit about this painting and the message behind it.
Sure. This painting is inspired by just the conversation of wake up and smell the coffee. And this piece is just more so about 2 people having a conversation. Of course, you see a person with a small cup of coffee in his hand, and then a person with a bigger cup, more so kind of like welcoming into my world, my life, and my reality. And just going back and forth and just dialoguing and unpack just life with each other.
This painting is so inclusive and so unifying, and I'm sure that was your goal.
Definitely. With this, with the chaos and everything like that, I'm a person that like to shift the climate, and I think that people kind of anticipate and expect for me to do such with my art, and so I wanted something to like just say, hey, let's stop, regroup, get an understanding for each other, and exchange life together.
Talk a little bit about what it means to be a part of this arts community.
This art community means everything. The reason why I say that because I remember growing up, it was not an art community that I saw.
I agree with you.
So being able to be among, the creators among the city and seeing everyone in action and murals going up, you wouldn't see that 5, 6, 10 years ago. And for us to be able to come out and then the city supports it and back it up we're needed here. The arts are needed here.
Tell me a little bit about your reaction receiving this award, and obviously it is so well deserved.
Well, we're very honored as an organization. I know that the type of momentum that we're seeing and what it's done here is really special, and we're very excited that the mayor understands and that Arts United, an arts organization of their clout, is also recognizing that what Art This Way's programming is doing is significant in downtown Fort Wayne.
As the pandemic ends, American communities that retain their quality of life and a unifying sense of cultural identity will rebuild their economies and their people. Abraham Lincoln said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Our vibrant arts and cultural scene is leading the way.
As the pandemic rolls out, people became, I think, more determined that we needed to do something that was positive.
I'm excited to see what 2021 is going to bring.
It's probably not the priority during the pandemic, but it's absolutely a necessity, and it's so important for the future of our community.
I know which paths I had to take. I don't mind handing you a map.
You can take plain things and, you know, you can keep them plain and ordinary, but like, why not do this?
When we come together, we can make it work. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better.
We're focused on the other side of this and coming out bigger, better, stronger after the pandemic.